A very big thanks for joining us on Big Talk, where we look at the very pressing political issues in the country. But let's begin with the fact that Vice President Kashim Shettima has led former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, the Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas, Governor Umar Diko, and Peter Obi, the Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate, were among the dignitaries who attended the funeral services for the mother of former President Umar Musa Yar'Adua. Others in attendance included Dati Ahmed Baba, Senator Ahmed Lawan, the former Senate President, former Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, the Senator Adamu, the business mongo Darius Mengao, and the emirs of Katsina and Daura, among others. All of these are dignitaries who have departed from Abuja to honor the mother of the late former President Musa Yar'Adua. And now there are a lot of pressing concern currently in the country. Earlier we had discussed the issues of NNPC, and right now it looks that there is no going backward again. The policy of subsidy is still very strong. This time it has taken another dimension where many Nigerians have witnessed a twist of an event. NNPC has reviewed the prices of their products at over to some station 895 to some station 900, and which other stations are now selling at 1,200, 1,100, and in the black market we have are now selling the product at 1,500. And how many Nigerians are reacting on the heels of the fact that the president told many Nigerians that he will solve the issues, the economic problems. But right now, it looks that the hardship is real, it's consistent, and there's no backward. All of these has continued to draw the concern of many Nigerians to what the president is currently doing. Some are calling for the sack of the NNPC boss, and some are saying review the corruption in the sector. Some are saying, President, you have not done enough. Your government is still spending, but nothing to show. But the president has insisted that some of the policies he's taking and putting in place, like granting local government autonomy and trying to see how he can reform some of the sectors from the central bank and all of that, will give Nigeria what we want. But as the questions in the lips of many Nigerians is, for how long would this take? For how long will it take the president to address this concern? For how long will it take the president to address these issues? Now, other dimension, many Nigerians are also continuing to react to the treason trial of 10 hunger protesters by President Tinubu. They have labeled the president to be not considered enough as a democratically elected president. The protesters were charged with treason in terms of trying to destabilize the Nigeria, a conspiracy to commit a felony and inciting mutiny, among others, which are punishable under Section 97 of the Penal Code. And after the nationwide protest against the economic hardship, now they are now faced with a whole lot of charges, which yesterday, 10 of them were in the court accused to be destabilizing Nigeria and conspiring together to commit felony. And all of this has also been a concern. We'll go on the break very quickly, and once we return from the break, my guest tonight will be joining us to dissect some of these issues, what the government is currently doing, the policies of the president, and what the treasonable trial by the government looks like for the protesters. We'll look at these issues and what the Nigerians are saying, and looking how we can see the way forward for the country. We'll go on the break, and once we return from the break, the conversation gets started. You stay with us. Many thanks for still with us on Big Talk, where we begin the conversation tonight with Mr. Sowore, a politician and human rights activist, joining us from United States of America. Thanks so much and greetings from here in Nigeria. Very quickly, there's a whole lot of tension in the country right now. I would love your reaction to the new fuel price of NNPC. They are promised Nigerians and the workers that the reason why they are given 70,000 minimum wage was because they do not want to increase the fuel price. But right now, it looks like it's at a twist of an event where government, NNPC, very responsibly have increased the product. It's given rise and tension in the country and increasing the whole lot of concerns of Nigeria. What is your reaction to the price of the increase of price today?
Well, I have warned and we have spoken extensively about it that if Nigerians don't rise up against this current regime, the regime will shock Nigerians with economic policies from which they may
Mr. Sowore, if you can hear me, I want your reactions on the new reviewed price of our product, the fuel product, where NNPC has skyrocketed from over 618 to 895 to some stations. Some are selling at 900. It's causing a whole lot of concern in the country right now. Do you feel that the government were not sincere when they told the Nigerian workers that we are giving you 70,000 because we are sure going to make the prices of fuel stable?
Can you hear me now? Okay, I don't seem to be able to hear you. I can't hear you, but okay, 1 second. Can you, okay.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you, Mr. Sowore. I can hear you, please.
All right. So I was saying that we had told Nigerians that if they don't do something about the Tinubu regime, the regime will choke Nigerians with economic policies from which they cannot recover anytime soon. And that was the reason why End Bad Governance protest was organized, to gather people together, have them organize against hunger, starvation, poverty, and insecurity in the country, which was driven by corruption and bad economic policies. And now the regime has come up with other policies that shows that they don't care about even the complaints about end governance that took place for 10 days on August 1 to August 10th. So it's up to Nigerians to either accept or reject this. It is up to the Nigerian people.
All right, we are hearing you, Mr. Sowore. If you can hear us from our end, I understand what you were trying to also buttress right there. But let's very quickly also get to the fact that there are concern of Nigerians, because it looks that many of the presidential candidates are subscribed to subsidy removal. It looks that it's now more difficult for the president in terms of decision making and the political will to confront the issues right in that particular sector.
I am not one of the presidential candidates that subscribed to removal of fuel subsidy. I was opposed to removal of fuel subsidy. I was opposed to the floating of the naira. I was opposed to printing new currencies during the election. I'm opposed to all the structural adjustment programs that is padded together and rebranded as economic policies that will bring about prosperity in Nigeria, because I know they can never bring about prosperity. They can only bring more poverty, more misery, and diseases and debt on the Nigerian people. So I'm not one of them, and I've always been opposed to them. And until we end a regime that has no new economic ideas, no new economic policy and philosophy, Nigeria is doomed. That's why we're in this situation that we found ourselves. So I cannot be lumped together with those presidential candidates who said they want to remove fuel subsidy. I'm not one of them.
So, and now many people are calling for the sack of the NNPC chairman. Would that solve the problem? Is it a step in the right direction on those that are saying, sack the NNPC chairman?
If you sack the NNPC chairman and you sack all the petrol station attendants in Nigeria and managers, it will not solve the problem. You have to sack the idea and the ideology that pauperizes people, that allow people in government to ride roughshod on Nigerian people. What that translates to is that you might need to sack the entire government in Nigeria for you to have a breathing space. And I know this is heavy thing to say on your show, but they have put their legs, I mean their knees on the neck of Nigerians. And Nigerians have a right and deserve an opportunity to live with dignity. And that is not going to happen except something is done about the regime itself. This sack, that doesn't solve the problem. It's not going to solve it. If you like, you can sack everybody until you deal with the fundamental problem, which has to do with the governing economic policy and philosophy of these people. You're wasting your time.
What are the problems right there if not sack and if not changing hands, trying to review the system entirely? What is the problem in that sector?
The problem is not in the sector. The problem is in the economy. And the fact that the Nigerian economy is not designed in such a way that it is meant to help the Nigerian people. It's designed to allow Nigeria to become a dumping ground for European and US companies. It is designed to take away subsidy so that the cost of production will go up, so that those companies or countries can decide for you what they import and export what they import into your country and what you can export, and determine the prices of what you export and what they import. They are at advantage perpetually because you have 200 million people. And except you have an economic policy that says, look, the people are the focus of our economic policy, and that we must give everything we can to them to make them survive, to make them thrive and prosper. The economic policies that you have now is meant to help Westerners to thrive and prosper, to make Europeans happy and prosper. It's not meant for the Nigerian people. And except you have that, and by doing so, you must have a government that believes in the people of Nigeria, not the ones that hate the people of Nigeria, such that they don't even allow them to organize simple protest, peaceful protest. They have demonized and criminalized that
All right.
because they need these economic policies to thrive so that their masters in Washington, D.C., London, and Paris can be happy with them.
Are you happy that Dangote refinery is on and running, but it now looks that it now waiting for the government in terms of the price? But are you happy about the development in Dangote refinery?
I am not happy that Nigeria cannot function with its own refineries, that we have to help one man to build a refinery and help him to pay for it by waivers and all kinds of policies that favors him. And now that they claim that refinery that they said was not licensed 2 weeks ago, about a month ago, they said the refinery was not licensed. So now what they're doing, which Nigerians are not paying attention to, is to help the refinery fix a profitable price. So on the eve of the announcement of the refinery claiming that it has started producing, we are hearing that they are saying two things. One, that they are going to be the ones buying the fuel from the refinery. And secondly, that there's a new price increase, which is apparently done in favor of this refinery, and nobody has bought the fuel from the refinery yet.
All right. The federal government has arranged about 10 persons in courts, and they have declared some persons wanted for treason. And they're concerned that these ones did not just go on a peaceful protest. The government had said, go on a protest if you can, but do it lawfully. But there are some persons who government are saying that they did not go in through the right process. They are trying to overthrow the government of President Tinubu. Does that make any sense to you?
It makes no sense when it was first done in the university when in 1992, when they claimed that we as students wanted to overthrow the government and then arrested the president of Nigeria's Association of National Association of Nigeria Students, then Olusegun Mayegun, with Femi Falana, Beko, Baba Mojola, and I think Gani Fawemi, and tried them for treason, which didn't go anywhere in Abuja, and sent them to prison. The purpose of charging them for treason is two. One is to discourage people who are planning another protest for October 1. And secondly, to keep them away perpetually so that they can shut them up or shut them down. But none of this will work because Nigerians are wiser now. And we're planning another protest that's coming up on October 1, known as Fearless in October.
Do you think this has an effect on human rights and freedom? Because in one way or the other, people are saying they went on a protest and government has said, no, they did not just protest, they were planning a whole lot of queue. Do you feel that this is a violation of freedom?
It's complete violation of the rights of these individuals to freely express themselves, to associate and discuss issues affecting their well-being and welfare, and doing so on behalf of Nigerian people. So, in arresting them, you have violated their rights. They have been detained for almost a month without trial, and when they showed up, they brought up these bogus charges, which merely enables them to keep them in detention for a longer time because they will tell you that, oh, we can't grant bail to people who are accused of treason. But what is clear is that when you look at the evidence adduced, there's zero evidence. They didn't adduce any evidence that these guys were planning to overthrow the government. I have been through this before. You're talking to someone who in 2019 was arrested and detained for 5 months and accused of trying to overthrow the government. When we got to court, they had no evidence, but they succeeded in keeping me away from the US for 5 years. And one day they came and withdrew the charges.
Are you undermining the fact that security agencies might not find some information useful for them before they can just go about the
They never
prosecution?
do. There's never, because this was never any treasonable offense. Uh, they know it. They are playing on intelligence of people who might fall for it. They themselves know that there is no evidence whatsoever. They did not attach any evidence to the charges. Whether it is electronic or physical, or even conventional, to show that they were planning to overthrow the government. It was just a bogey, as it is typical of Nigerian security agencies, sadly.
It now therefore looks that I mean, many persons would say that it looks that many people are fighting the government of President Bola Tinubu, that many people are against the government. It looks that people are not happy. The north, some parts of the north are not happy, and that's why they are making all of this grouping, sponsoring of protests and all of this agitation. Is that a situation against President Tinubu? Because some people will say in the last administration, I mean, under President Buhari, we didn't have this agitation. We didn't have much of this concern away from the few that we had. But it now looks that many people are so much interested in making the government of President Tinubu not really governable.
Well, I want to correct the impression that people didn't protest against Buhari. I protested against Buhari, so I was arrested and detained. Revolution Now 2019. There were lots of protests against the Buhari regime. There was a notice bleeding that I participated in Abuja, so it is not true. What Tinubu has done was, in coming to power and having promised that he'll continue from where Buhari started, has done incalculable harm to the Nigerian economy and the people of Nigeria, and people are pushing back. So you don't expect people to just sit down and watch when they are dying of hunger, dying of poverty and starvation, because the president of Tinubu came from day one, started waging an economic war against Nigerian people. You don't expect them to sit back and watch. So he brought it upon himself, and there's nothing else that the people can do than to fight back, and that's what has happened. It has nothing to. There's no conspiracy about it. He's the one who took the fight to the people of Nigeria with his very perilous economic policies. So it's very clear that he started it. He started a war, and he should deal with it.
He's saying I inherited a bad economy, things were not working well, so I'm trying to make a whole lot of fixation and all of that. That even if you inherited this government, probably you would have been taking that steps of trying to change the system, look at issues that you can deal with so that you can get the Nigeria working. Is that, should
No,
we give justification to that?
no. If I took over the system, I would not buy a private jet that is 150 million dollars. I will not build a house for the vice president when there are plenty of houses where he can stay in Abuja for 21 billion. I won't buy a yacht for 4 billion. I won't be paying the National Assembly people 29 million naira per month. I won't buy them a car that is worth 150 million naira per head, and you bought almost 600 pieces of that car. So you cannot be living extravagantly when you claim that things are hard, and you expect people to accept when you tell them that they should tighten their belt. When you are in fact walking around with trousers that have no belt because you are feeding fat on the Nigerian people. So that's why I would be different. I would have invested all these resources in Nigerian people, be very transparent about what is available, not make economic policies or decisions that will hurt their feelings or hurt their bottom line or their existence. If you don't do that, Nigerians would understand, and I'm sure by now we would have made serious progress under my government if I were to be president.
So does it look like he's trying to push blame because probably he had told Nigerians, I'll hit the ground running from day one, and some of the policies he's trying to introduce and make, does it look that it's not something that will yield good result for Nigeria? Because you are bothered, this is I mean, a year going, getting to year two, and nothing seems to work.
Well, they said to you when they removed fuel subsidy, that Nigeria will be awash with money from what they claim will be savings from the fuel subsidy regime that they claim they have removed. Where's the money? Where are the bridges they built today? Where are the schools that they built? Where are the hospitals? Did they build any roads? It's because it was always a lie. And this was the reason why we tell Nigerians that before you vote for people, hear from them, force them to talk to you. But in the media, the complacent public did not care about these things, and now we are bearing the brunt of that period. So, and honestly, I am sorry to say, but we have not seen anything yet. The worst is yet to come, but we don't have to wait for the worst. We need to bond together and fight back.
It is more worrisome because we have ministers appointed at this time around. More than 14 ministers were appointed in this administration to help do the job. Does it look that we are having incompetent hands in this administration? Because some persons are saying change the ministers, rearrange your cabinet members. They have not given the result that many Nigerians were expecting. Do you align with that postulation?
I don't care whether they have 40 ministers or two. Incompetent people will be incompetent whether it's as a large group or a small group. In whatever numbers they bond together or they move, incompetence cannot be killed by size. So that's what you get. The guys were incompetent from the beginning, and they will remain incompetent until something is done about them.
The reason I'm asking that is because in the next 3 years to come, this is the only government and the administration we are having to deal with. So we are trying as much as possible to see what can work for Nigeria because the hardship on the street is probably very real. Do you feel that there is no way out, or what do you feel should rather be the way out for government in a time like this?
I'm not here to advise government. I don't believe in this government. I've told you that many times. Why would you be asking me to advise them? They have nothing to offer. They don't have the capacity to do what they even themselves promised and didn't promise to do. But I'm more interested in speaking to Nigerian people to warn them about their consequences of not taking action, and for them to take action so that they can revive. I mean, they can take back their country, and restore their dignity, no matter how little it is.
Electoral system has also been a concern of many Nigerians. I mean, we've had many elections, and now we are also looking forward to another election. And part of those things that the protesters were demanding was the issue of the Electoral Act for some reformations in the sector. What do you feel? Is it about the constitution? Is it about the people? Is it about the commission? What do you feel is the problem of this electoral sector?
I don't think you can solve Nigeria's problem by taking it piecemeal. We've had several electoral acts. Electoral acts can never stop election rigging. You have to change the constitution, but most importantly, you cannot win this game without changing the players. These guys do not have capacity to run even a country as small as Samoa. So just waste your time thinking that you bring in more electoral changes by electoral act. It's not going to work. There has to be something that is fundamentally foundational in the way we think and change our situation. That's why we ask for a new constitution to be made by the people. And if the constitution contains certain provisions and we stick with them, then nobody can mess with those provisions. But the constitution by itself cannot solve the problem. You still need good people. And that's why we keep asking for a revolution in the country, because these things are just not going to change on their own terms.
Would this really salvage the situation, accusing some of these protesters to be committing treasonable offense? Would this really change the situation, or is this a discouragement to the protesters we have?
Look, when they're done wasting their time, they'll pack up. When Nigerians are ready, all this issue of treason or no treason will be relevant. It's just like when we were planning the August 1st protest, how they went to court, rushing from court to court to get a court order for people to stay in one place to protest. Did you notice that when the day came, everybody was all on the street and they didn't stick to one particular place? So these are irrelevant issues. When the people are ready and they move as a mass, a critical mass, that will be the end of all this rubbish.
So away from that issue, do you feel that there are some persons are probably trying to intimidate, because we've seen the invitation of the NLC chairman. They said they have gone to the NLC and it looks that some persons are hiding under the headquarters of NLC to be instigating some of these issues. Some said they are sponsoring some of the protests, the last protest we had. Do you feel that the protesters had some level of sponsorship away from the normal support young people were given?
I don't know about those things. If there's any evidence that protesters have misspent, they would have provided it even before going to court. They're just using reverse psychology on people, just make bogus statements and hope that people believe them, because maybe they know and understand that a good number of Nigerians who may not have access to real information. But our duty is to keep debunking those. If they don't have any evidence anywhere. None. I can tell you that for free, that this was sponsored. And at any rate, if it was sponsored, people are entitled to sponsor protests that favors them. If you can sponsor candidates, why can't you sponsor protests?
What probably may we be looking at, because we also see what some people are saying, the protests ended in some areas. I mean, with a lot of looting in the north. We've seen some level of killings of personnel and all of those chaos that we witnessed. And probably we may not want another protest again. We want where government are listening. They said they will create a panel where protesters will come into dialogue, and we seems to not hear anything coming from that end. What has been the level of your push and your negotiation with them?
We're not negotiating with anybody. Nobody is going to waste his time negotiating with a government that is deaf, and I dare say dumb.
So do you feel the president is not aware of the reality on ground, that things are hard?
Well, they'll find out soon. I can tell you that. More people are going to show to them how they feel in a matter of weeks. That's if that doesn't even happen before October 1, because people are hurting really bad, and I can tell you that a lot of Nigerians are very impatient. They want to take on this government to let them know that they are not slaves in their own country. So.
A whole lot of concern to be bothered about. I try to look at what may be the way forward in all of these, and the fact that all of this concern are tantamount to the crisis we are having in the country, a whole lot of economic situation. The president have made some changes in the security agencies. We'll say the new DSS, the new NIA DG, and all of that. Would this probably manage the situation of our security, understanding the fact that some said our security problem is local?
Well, you can't solve a security problem in Nigeria without solving the economic security problem. And that's the first step to solving the economic. You can't improvise people, have a huge number of young people get out of school without employment, have no hospitals, no jobs, no good roads, no electricity, and expect to have security fall from the sky on your laps. It's not possible. They are all linked together. So, that's why we talk about incompetence a lot, because these guys are always approaching the Nigerian problem from the wrong angles. And the truth is that they don't know any better.
All right, we'll try as much as possible to get what may be the way forward, because away from the many issues and the challenges we are confronting in the country right now, many said the ball is in the president. The president, on the other hand, has said, I have done some reforms. I've done some investment in some sectors. I've given state governors some funds to be able to cushion the effect of hardship in their state. I've granted local government autonomy. I've done this, I've done that. But Nigerians are persisting that some of this hardship is still real. Nothing seems working with all of those policies, decision making by this administration. What do you think is the missing line in all of this?
Leadership, leadership. We have none. We don't have leaders in the country.
But the president might not be able to go down to all the 774 local government and 36 states to do the job.
But he can announce the withdrawal of fuel subsidy from Abuja without preparation. He can unilaterally increase the tenure of the IG. He could buy a private jet without budgeting for it, a private plane for the president without budgeting for it, and do so many things. So, does if he can do big item budgets, and then now you're giving excuses that he can't go everywhere. Well, he's bought every car that is in the world, including an Escalade from the US that had cost about $2 million. Isn't that enough for him to travel everywhere? He's got
So you
every
mean the
right
travel of the
to
president recently is not for the good? China, Africa, bilateral relations is not for the good of the country?
not that I know of. No.
Should we also blame the state governors? Because some people are saying, go to the subnational. A lot have been given to them. Some
Our
of the selling
position is
life.
that this governance issue is everywhere. But because we have an over centralized unitary system of governance where the president uh, decides everything, it's natural that everybody will drag the president first before we go. But definitely, everybody who is supposed to be governing now is going to be held accountable for their actions or inactions.
So right now, the government are also pushing for the extradition of Simon Ekpa from Finland, and some of this concern the fact Southeast right now is still not encouraging. We've seen the recent report is pushing away foreign direct investment, and is not making look that every ceremony and everything and events, which probably would have boosted the IGL of the southeast part of this country, is at the dead part. Do you feel that they have not handled very critically, or are you still demanding that Nnamdi must be released?
The reason why I do not think these people have sense is because, you went and abducted Nnamdi Kanu. What did he produce? Simon Ekpa. So if you go and get Simon Ekpa, would it solve the problem? So go and get him and bring him down to Nigeria and see how that will solve your problem. If they are sensible, they would have released Nnamdi Kanu, call for a meeting, dialogue with the Southeastern leaders and all the, stakeholders in the area, or even generally in Nigeria, demilitarize the zone, and we figure out a way forward. So we're doing them a favor by asking them to act in a sensible manner. Because the more insensible and insensitive they act, the more problem they get. So let them keep going that route. I can tell you that it's a rabbit hole. It will lead them to nowhere.
Kidnapping and terrorism is still on the high side right now in the country, and some of those demands of the protesters were the fact that insecurity is real. I understand we've made an highlight on that, but now the federal government has demanded that the defense chiefs and the ministers be relocated to Sokoto to just be able so that they can be able to combat with these issues and also stay and understand the internal and local insecurity challenges. Do you feel that doing all of this is must be applaudable to the president?
That's why you say, where's that saying that you can't keep doing the same thing, the same all over again? I expect a different result. Only mad people do that. We've been having people have to relocate to security crisis points. At the time, it was the IG was asked to relocate to Jos. At the time, it was the chief of army staff relocated to Maiduguri. Has this solved the problem? No, because this is part of why I think these guys are a joke. Seriously, they're a joke. So I saw the Minister of Defense today in camouflage. He took a private jet down, and then when they completed their joke, the terrorists are still going to kill more people tonight because they're not about solving the problem. They're about, just centralizing it. It's sad. It's very sad. I feel very sad about the proper people that are running Nigeria. I feel really sad about it.
All right, we just have to go on a break very right away, and once we return from the break, we'll finalize the discussion with Mr. Sowore, a politician and human rights activist who's joining us live on the program tonight on Big Talk. Please don't go away, stay with us.
Thank you.
I've seen watch your network, Global Television, and I think it's a refreshing addition to some of the networks that we already have, and to have competitive media and looking at news from different angles. The place to go is to watch Global Television, because it gives you a different perspective, whether it is local news or foreign news, and even you're connecting with local communities in villages that I have seen. So we urge Nigerians that, this is the time to broaden the space, the source of information, of entertainment, and of enlightenment. And Global TV is the place to watch.
Thanks for Sister with us, a big talk. And of course, we're speaking very earlier with Mr. Sowore, the very human rights activist who, of course, was explaining some of the issues in the country. Most very pressing is a charge on treason to the protesters at the last end by governance protest. Some of these issues has also caused a lot of reactions on the part of the security agency. They have also reacted from the IG, who stated clearly that these ones were found trying to incite mutiny and felony, committing a crime against the nation and to overthrow the government of President Bola Tinubu. We're trying to make sense out of this. We also heard from Mr. Sowore that some of these issues are trying to cause a lot of panic and intimidation to the protesters. But let's take a listen to what the police rightly said earlier on the issue.
According to the Force Public Relations Officer, Muyiwa Adejobi, Wayne is accused of renting a space at Labour House in Abuja under the guise of operating an Eva Valley bookshop and establishing Stars of Nations schools to cover up his subversive activities. The police claim that Wayne was involved in planning and financing the August protests, which were part of a broader conspiracy to destabilize the country and instigate an unconstitutional regime change.
Intelligence gathering and collaboration with other security agencies, 10 suspects have been apprehended who received substantial financial backing from foreign sources to destabilize the country. Investigations have identified a foreign mercenary, Andrew Wayne, also known as Andrew Povich or Jew of Faith. The man has many identities. A British national who built a network of sleeper cells to topple the government and plunge the nation into chaos.
Adejobi further revealed that documentary evidence and confession have linked Wayne to the violent protests, stating that he provided operational guidance and financial support to those involved. He added that this development follows the recent arrest of Polish nationals in Kano by the Department of State Service during the protests, who were later released after being detained for weeks.
He and one of his local coordinators, one Loki, in his opinion, have accordingly been declared wanted, and global hunting for them has commenced in connection with this investigation.
The police have also summoned Comrade Joe Ajeru, president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, regarding Wayne's activities. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
That was the reactions of the police on some personnel, of course, found guilty in terms of trying to also incite the many concerns and the crisis we have in the country today. That was the reactions from the Nigerian police. There is a recent statement of Nigerian Labour Congress on the heels of the country. They have released a statement in respect to the new price of the products. They said, "We feel betrayed. We are filled with a deep sense of betrayal as the federal government increases the pump price of PMS. One of the reasons for accepting 70,000 naira as national minimum wage was the understanding that the pump price of PMS would not be increased, even as we knew that 70,000 was not insufficient. We can recall vividly when Mr. President gave us the devil's alternative to choose from, either 250,000 naira as minimum wage, subject to the rise between the 1,500 and 2,000 naira. And now that we opted for the latter because we could not bring ourselves to accept further punishment on Nigerians. But here we are, barely 1 month after, and with government yet to commence payment of the new national minimum wage, confronted by a reality we cannot explain. It is both traumatic and nightmarish. Yet we were told government that its approach to resolving the fuel subsidy contradictions was paternally faulty and would not last. It is from role cheerleaders snared at us, saying we do not understand basic economics." And a whole lot of comments right there from the Nigerian Labour Congress on why government, and most very particular the NNPC, increasing the fuel price. All of these has concerned a lot of Nigerians as to the fact that the new national minimum wage have not fully been implemented. What is the way forward? What is the statement coming from the government and all of that? We're still keeping our ears on ground try as much as possible to gather some of this information to you. But for now, we deeply thank to Mrs. Sowore for joining us and continuing to give us this view. And that's the much we can be taking tonight on the program Big Talk. We're looking forward again tomorrow, where we'll take on another issues in the country and looking at how Nigeria can work. We are only after the country getting to work. We are only seeing how government can take responsibility in addressing the many concerns. We appreciate the effort of the government. We understand what they are doing, but their best is not good enough. Just like Oliver Twist, many Nigerians can't see the way. They can't understand why we are in this hardship all of these times, from the last administration to this administration. But it looks like there will be light at the end of the tunnel, and many Nigerians can't wait to see the light. My name is Rican Michael. Thanks so much for joining us on the program tonight. See you again tomorrow. We'll look at